Wicked partiality is a quiet warning with sharp edges, reminding us how easily the heart tilts toward shine and status while missing the weight of glory standing beside us. In this brief meditation from TableTalk Magazine, we are led to slow down, look again, and measure our judgments, not by appearances, but by the character God Himself esteems, as taught in James chapter 2, verses 1 through 4. Here, faith is tested not in lofty confession, but in ordinary moments of seating, greeting, and seeing one another as neighbours under grace. Now for our reading. My brethren, do not hold the faith of our Lord Jesus Christ, the Lord of glory, with partiality. For if there should come into your assembly a man with gold rings in fine apparel, and there should also come in a poor man in filthy clothes, and you pay attention to the one wearing the fine clothes, and say to him, "You sit here in a good place," and say to the poor man, "You stand there," or "Sit here at my footstool," have you not shown partiality among yourselves, and become judges with evil thoughts? James chapter 2, verses 1 through 4. The Epistle of James focuses on three important themes that are introduced in its first chapter and then developed throughout the rest of the letter: trials, wisdom, and the rich and the poor. Given that widows and orphans were among the poorest people in the ancient world, James's reference to them in chapter 1, verse 27, naturally leads into further discussion of riches and poverty. This discussion and a connected theological reflection on salvation are found in James chapter 2. James focuses in today's passage on how the sin of partiality with respect to wealth has no place in the church. Historically, most commentators have said that James chapter 2, verses 1 through 4 has in view the setting of corporate worship, and that some of the churches that James knew about were favouring the rich and relegating poor Christians to a lesser place in the assembly. It is possible, however, that James refers not to the worshipping assembly, but to the gathering of church leaders to execute church discipline. Either way, James's basic point is clear: wealth and any other external criteria are not to be the basis for making distinctions within the covenant community or for issuing judgments. James, of course, is not really saying anything new here in forbidding partiality based on socioeconomic status. The law of God, after all, forbids this. Note, however, that James speaks of distinctions within the Christian church and not society in general. Matthew Henry comments, "All undue honouring of worldly greatness and riches should especially be watched against in Christian societies." James does not here encourage rudeness or disorder. Civil respect must be paid, and some difference may be allowed in our carriage towards persons of different ranks, but this respect must never be such as to influence the proceedings of Christian societies in disposing of the offices of the church, or in passing the censures of the church, or in anything that is purely a matter of religion. Here we are to know no man after the flesh. In not showing partiality based on wealth in the church, we imitate God Himself, who is not partial and takes no bribe. Otherwise, we have made distinctions among ourselves. More literally, we are divided within ourselves. Judging based on externals is the kind of double-mindedness that James warns us about. Few things are more contradictory than professing allegiance to the Lord while not judging by truth and character. Dr. R.C. Sproul comments, "A respect for persons based purely on externals is contrary to the behaviour of God, who is no respecter of persons. As fallen creatures, we are prone to discriminating between people based on appearances and not based on the truth of their character. May it not be so among us in the church. May we never judge people based on externals." This concludes our reading. Thank you for listening.